And we're back for our second best of one of the day. Team Dignitas going to be taking on EG. Now, following this series, as I understand it anyway, I want to make sure I keep it straight in my head. Pretty sure all of the pro teams will have played each other. Following this, EG got the best of Team Liquid in the group stage. Dignitas, I can't remember. Actually, I can't remember if Dignitas played Liquid yet. Sad to say. I know Dignitas certainly coming off of a good win in game number one, getting past Denial Esports. Denial played a good game of Dota, but in the end just let it slide away from them. And more, I mean, if there's anything that viewers can take away from this, and hell, me as a caster, what really separates a Tier 1 and a Tier 2 professional Dota team, at least for the most part, seems to be how efficient you are coming down the line. Once the game begins to break down, laning phase is a little mechanical. Laning phase is a part of the game where, you know, you're still got tons of freedom, but at the same time, there is kind of this rough outline of do's and don'ts that you can keep in mind. I mean, even the gank timings are very well understood by the majority of professional teams. And listening, like if you ever have a chance to listen to a professional team communicate in a game they're taking serious, it really is phenomenal to hear how far ahead they think. You'll hear mids call out that in 60 seconds they expect a gank to hit and that they need someone ready to teleport and all that. And more often than not, it's correct. So, but, you know, once all that begins to break down, once you get into that phase of the game where teams have to start making decisions like, do we invade their jungle? Do we fall back and farm? Do we try to do both? You know, do we split push? All that kind of fun stuff. That's where professional teams really separate themselves out, because they tend to just be much more efficient during those times. They tend to have much better coordination that has just developed over time. Raw mechanical skills so far as just seeing the map and recognizing it for what it is, where's safe, where isn't, being able to make those snap decisions tends to result in extra gold gained as well. And that's exactly what happened to Denial. And I'm not bringing that up to say, well, Denial can't do any of that well. Certainly not. They can do it a lot better than most teams can. But they that's just how they ended up getting beaten. And I don't think there's any shame in that. I mean, EOS an experienced player, but at the same time, the not quite on the level of their opponents. So anyway, late to the party, tardy to the party, but he's on anyway. I am going to be joined by a co-caster this time, and very thankful for that. Not going to lie, you boys tired. I've been really stressed and really stretched thin with the announcement that I'm going to DreamHack and trying to find a place to live by the end of this month and all that fun stuff. So he's going to allow me to shut the hell up and actually think for once. And yeah, like that ever happens. Anyway, his name's Bulba. Bulba, my friend, welcome to the broadcast. How are you?
Hello, Mr. AC.
Good to have you on.
Good to have you. good to have you on, buddy.
But it's been a while since you and I jumped on the mic together, and you know that's something that I'm not very happy about, Bulba. You and I go way back to the It's Gosu days, and gotta say, man, you know things are going well and going well for the both of us. You're going to Seattle. I'll be seeing you there. But I got, you know, big thanks to give to you.
Next week, dude. I'm seeing you next week as well.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's hard to believe how quickly that's sneaking up on us, man. Going to be in freaking Sweden soon. But anyway, you got me started. You introduced me to Draskell way back when I was brand new to Dota. You were patient with me when I knew very little. Granted, I don't know as much as you, but still yet, man. Great to have you on for your insights. So I'll tell you what, we've been jawing and talking. How about you just break down the draft for me as you see it so far?
Well, the whole like new draft is kind of new, at least for me. It's new for us as a team. It's kind of like confusing because it feels like first pick gets the better end of the deal because they in every single like pick ban phase, first pick gets the last one, like last hero. Yeah. So that means they get the counter pick to what the other team has. Right. And it's for every pick phase. So at least that's what we got out of it in one day only. We've only played it for one day, so but it seemed like first pick feels a bit better because you can counter pick the next one, and I guess second pick gets the 2 heroes in a row. Right. But I think the first pick advantage is better. So it looks like who got first pick this game? EG got first pick. It looks like Yep, Radiant team. Yeah, so they're gonna get Bat Raider, and then that means they also get to pick the Bane and the DK. DK and Bane are both they have three really good heroes versus the Nakes actually.
Mm-hmm.
And Dignitas takes the Furion, so they have a kind of like a dual core lineup with the Furion and the Nakes.
Right.
And their mid hero is probably going to be something like Queen of Pain.
Right.
The Storm is banned and the Puck is banned, so those are two really good heroes for Dignitas. But it has to be kind of like a core hero. I feel it might be Queen of Pain.
Queen of Pain available. EG going to be looking to get Demon Hero if they can. Dragon Eye pickup, as you had mentioned, it's Dragon's been good. DK's been getting a lot of play lately, and I've kind of been talking about this going all the way back to the G1 qualifiers. That's kind of when he started to resurface a bit in general. I mean, there were always teams that would situationally pick him, but really starting to see him consistently picked. And now after his buff with 6.78, he's even better. The fact that he doesn't lose the poison effect on his level 1 dragon form so he can just always take level 2, have that poison, also have the AoE damage as well. But I love how good that hero is against heroes like Lifestealer, and you kind of touched on it. Has a lot to do with the fact of just how innately tanky he becomes very quickly. I mean, the name like Dragonite, you know that's how he's going to function. But having the 12 bonus armor from maxing Dragon Blood makes him very hard to kill for any physical DPS in the game. Then once he gets up at BKB, it just becomes very difficult to try and cope with. We're actually going to see Avenge come out here. Avenge has been seeing a little bit more play here and there as well. And, you know, walk me through that. What's going on with the Avenge pick?
Well, he got a little buff on the range of swap, but the big buff was the strength. So the problem with the hero is his range is kind of small to attack and stuff. But since he's tankier now with the strength, he can obviously... like he can be closer in and get more and do more in the fights, because you always like most of the heroes like Nakes or whatever are always going to aim for the Venge, but now since obviously he has more HP, he can tank a bit more.
Yep.
And he's actually a decent hero versus the Nakes, meaning that you can swap heroes that Nakes is going for since it does go through rage, and Venge is actually a really good counter to Batrider, I feel. And we might see that more lately since Nyx did get a ban, but right now the biggest counter to Bat is the Nyx. And then it's going to probably be Venge. People are still testing stuff out, but I feel Venge is going to become kind of a valiant support, especially because he does scale well late game with the aura as well as a swap.
Batrider is beginning to see more play too. You're just starting to see teams prioritize. Like EO is one of the few that is actually staying where he, staying in that first pick, first ban status. A lot of it's situational. You're starting to see like EG, for example, bans the gyro pretty frequently. They can play the hero well, but they do not like to give it away. Lone Druid, and that's a question that's that I'd like to talk to you about. To get some professional insight coming into this, coming in not to this game in particular, but coming into the patch. The big question was just how viable is Lone Druid going to remain? He was always viable because of how versatile he is. The fact that he can duck into the jungle if the offlane doesn't work out. Solo safe lane still very good for him. But with Armlet not working the same way it was, I'm seeing the Druid banned a lot, not seeing him played a lot. And this is going to be like my 7th game broadcasted on the patch. And I want to say the Druid was actually banned in all of them. Are teams still really putting that much emphasis on the hero? Or is there some that, this is from both your point of view on your team as well, but just as a general gauge of the professional community as tied together as all of the players are, what's the general consensus on that hero right now?
I think one of the reasons EG banned it is because Dignitas likes the hero. So that's obviously was a respect ban towards AUI. As well as the fact that the hero is still strong in the safe lane.
Right.
I don't know about the offlaning because it is kind of harder to offlane since the bear does give a lot of gold now.
Yep.
And when you're off stock without much gold, so the armlet was really cost efficient. But for now, I'd see kind of I know EE has been picking it safe lane a lot, and Radiance is actually really strong. I think the 5 damage buff, it might seem little, but over time, that's 5/5 every second.
Right.
So that is exponential. So I do think the Radiance is a good build on him right now.
There you go. That's the and again, it's something that I've just heard talked about. It's been beaten to death on message board forums and all that. But honestly, it's one of those things where casters sometimes just make assumptions. I try not to do that. Sometimes I fail in that. But I always want to talk to the pro players themselves because until I see enough games of the new Lone Druid to see just how he stacks up to how strong he was for the longest time, it's just a tough call to make. But moving on into the game. Again, our second best of one of the day. We got EG taking on Dignitas, a pro-on-pro match. Only had a handful of those so far here in the ADL. And Dignitas on the receiving end of the only upset so far, getting beat by Arctic yesterday. They were playing down a man. So Taking a look at the lineups, I'll run through them very quick. We're going to have Fear playing on the Vengeful Spirit. The DK going to be handled by Jo. Bat Rider going to be played by Demon. Juggernaut played by Bambo. And Bane handled by Beatiz. On the other side of the river, we got Way Too Sexy playing on the Nature's Prophet. We're going to have Fogged on Leshrac. And I'll tell you right now, Fogged was a monster earlier today. You guys had a great game against Dignitas. That was a really entertaining series, and Fogg just played his butt off, man. He was hitting everything he had to. He and Sneaking both had a really good series in the D2L. Owie 2000 farming up the Lifestealer, no surprise about that. Universe will be on the DS, and Sneaking handling the Clockwork. So looks like we might have a chance for a little bit of action. Their teams are still kind of skirting around each other at least a little bit, but yeah, Treant's mostly being scouted out and killed off. Looking at the lineup so far, Bull, but break it down so far as the lanes. How you think it's going to come out? Who do you think is going to come out with an advantage here?
Well, Dignitas has their typical Dignitas lineup. They always pick junglers. If you noticed, in all 3 games today, they had a jungling hero, even when it was an offlane DS. But they love this kind of 2-1-1 with the jungler setup. So they're gonna have a dual lane top. EG knows this, so they're gonna go aggressive. But what Way2 does with the Furion is he'll just farm, and he just tells both AUI and Fog just not to die. And Leshrac Nyx is a dual lane that can soak up the experience.
Right.
It might be a bit hard for them to pull versus what EG has, but they aren't really going to kill them on EG's lineup. And what they try to do is they have
Cogs down. We got Fear there ganking with the Invis rune into mid. Never made it to top. Jo actually ran into the Cogs there, and we're going to see Sneaking able to make it away. Now, Sneaking is going to be rushing a bottle, just has tangos and branches right now. We'll have the bottle up soon, but failed gank, still a nice attempt coming out from EG, and we'll see Fear most likely make his way back to the offensive tri-lane.
Yeah, so like, what they do is they hope that Universe farms a lot, and they want him to get the early mech. So they put priority of farm into the Darkseer, and when you do that, you just want the early mech. So EG's gonna give in this situation. It's really hard for this. Like most solos that go versus Darkseer are always gonna go even, or the Darkseer is gonna free farm most of the time. So that means around a 12-minute mech, 13-minute mech. So as soon as he gets the mech, Universe starts participating in the fights. And Dignitas has had this playstyle for like the past 3 or 4 months.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that EG should know how they play. Since this kind of playstyle they have, that Alliance did take stuff from. I actually talked to S4 at G1, and the playstyle they used versus the LGD in the finals was like this, where Ake, they had a dual lane on the safe lane that wouldn't die, which was Wisp Phantom Assassin, and then Ake used the Enchantress to gank Bulldog's lane.
Right.
And that was, I think, in 3 games. It was 1 game versus Orange, and then both games versus LGD. So the playstyle they have is quite strong, but you have to play different to it. So let's see if EG has that up.
And, you know, that's actually a really good insight. I've been saying for a while that Dignitas, and I was bragging on you guys earlier, because I feel like that's something that was a bit a part of your play as well, to an extent, but I think has really changed over the last month or two. Is, hold on, Bambo. Caught with a split earth. Owie does not have a point into open wounds yet. The range nerf on open wounds means he's got to be right on top. There it is. Right inside that circle, Bambo. Able to Blade Fury away, though. Dragging the creeps back as well, so that's going to force Fogged and AUI back into the jungle. But Dignitas is a team that just doesn't seem to play well from behind. You know, I've been casting this squad for just about as long as I've been casting anyone. And
really, I beg to differ. I think they're one of the best teams to play from behind, because they have this kind of playstyle where they sacrifice a farm on AUI, and they pick him kind of a mid-game hero like Gyro or Luna.
Right.
And I guess they're maybe not late game, but they'll sacrifice their early game lanes for AUI to have good play on their other 2 lanes, and then try and win the mid game, because they love the kind of team fight lineups. Every game they have like a Jakiro and Darkseer and stuff.
Yep. No, I agree with you completely, but when I say play from behind, I generally mean in longer games. I mean, it's like the mid game, you could just win, and wow, we're actually going to see Sneaking getting first blood on a DK in mid here. You don't expect it. You see those 2 icons get close on the map together, and yeah, you never really know.
That was a typical first blood from the Clock. I think Jo should have expected that, because at level 3, there's this thing where Clock can solo kill most melee heroes. It's hard for Clock to solo kill ranged heroes, because it's hard to really cog them in.
Yep.
But whenever the DK gets whenever the Clockwork gets close to a melee hero, especially like DK or Beastmaster, or not maybe Beastmaster because his armor's higher, but mostly DK and these melee heroes, you can actually solo kill them. And Dale got caught out, and Snaking had an illusion rune, so that was even more. So right now, Snaking snowballed his lane. He's gonna be a level ahead of Jo, and he can maybe kill him again if he gets him into another cog alone without creeps. So Jo has to watch out.
That's something obviously we would love, not just by we, I mean the viewership, myself as well. I've been bragging on you for a while for being one of the best Clockworks on the planet. And your insight into that hero, I believe, rivals that of anyone, literally. Anyone you can name. There's going to be a Nightmare on the AUI. And the follow-up stun. Let's see what damage they can do. Just right-clicking on him. Good body blocking from Fear.
Fear.
Yep. Very nice play. Really good play from Fear. Staying patient, staying the course, and getting the job done. Very high-value kill, too. Not just the kill, but bringing down the carry. But down at bottom, the Bat trying to do some burn damage, actually getting quite a lot done. Demon living up to his name, and Fogged might barely, nope, he's too slow. They'll be able to chase him down. That's going to be one more auto attack. He's down, he might get two. Universe, nope, never mind, way two. TP'd in, and now Demon trying to make a run, eating the Ion Shell damage. And will end up being karate chopped as Universe makes it 1 for 1. That's going to be 2 to 2. TP coming in from Fog to mid, and Clock approaching Jo, drops the cogs. He's going to be able to follow that up, and does very effectively. Rocket Flare doing good damage. Jo tanky as it is, but not tanky enough to survive that. Very active game. 5 minutes in, 5 kills on the board, and neither team seems willing to back off.
Yeah, and like I said before, when Clock gets that early level lead on a melee hero, it's really hard for the other hero to come back in the lane. So Jo is gonna have. Right now, it's up to Snaking because they are losing their top lane. Look at AOI's farm. He only has 4 CS. Yep. But like I said, this is the way that Dignitas likes to play. They like to sacrifice AOI's farm most of the time for Universe and Snaking to do well. And then he catches up later in the mid game, which I think is a somewhat like unique playstyle. Snaking's going up, but EG does have a ward here, and Fear's calling that out.
Here we go. There's Way 2 landing in, grabs the treants, and nice hook coming out of Snaking. Beat is left behind. It will be cleaned up. That's going to be a killing spree for the little guy in the armor. Make it 4 to 2. And while it looks like they are going to fall back at least for a moment, so I'm going to fit in. Nope, never mind. Demon going to be able to lasso Universe in bottom, drags him back through. Here comes the TPN. Surge buying him a little bit of time. 5 stacks of sticky napalm, though, going to slow him down. Going to be 6, and they're going to be able to pursue him out. No help's coming, at least not for the moment. No TP seen. There's Beat is right behind him. Got the Surge off again. Nightmare just in time. Could not have cut it closer, but looks like they don't want to hang too long as EG manages to get another kill. Leshrac killed off. Vengeful Spirit notching that one, make it 4 to 3. And these teams just going back and forth, man.
Yep. And I still think like Dignitas is getting the better hand of this because they have a hero that is getting solo experience basically. Maybe not like solo mid experience, but it's good, better experience than what Fear and Beatus has been getting. That's way too sexy on the Prophet. And he's gonna hit level 6 soon, and he might be a bit far from the Midas right now, but as soon as Furon hits level 6, he can pop that ulti off and maybe get a kill or maybe get some few creeps. But the thing about this is their lineup is so mobile, and they just have like these kind of really good strong heroes, the Darkseer and the Clockwork. And then they have this Furon on the side.
Right. And
the Nax now is still like UI is barely anything, but since the other lanes have opened up, like Dignitas they've opened it up basically. So now EG have to like transfer to the other lanes, and that means AOI is kind of free now. So he's going to be able to farm versus Bambo. But relatively easily. Clock's
going to come down here, so I'm not going to get a chance to talk. I'm going to make my point because you and I agree actually on Dignitas' playstyle. Beat is going to eat the hook. They are going to be able to clean him up. Here's Fear. Fear going to land in. Stuns out. Sneaking. There's the Split Earth, and he's in trouble. Demon runs into a lost fight. He's just going to have to head for the high ground. And that tower pretty low. Let's see if they're just going to hang. Demon way up in no man's land. Doesn't have a lot of time left on Firefly. Needs to get back down to Earth sometime soon. And will be able to find his way back to terra firma. But Nice engagement there out of Dignitas, but like you were saying, the way Dignitas, and it makes total sense now that you phrased it the way you did. The reason I think they do struggle playing from behind, and by that I mean usually going into the, like, once you get through the mid game, if they don't have a big lead, or if they're down, they tend to struggle. Bambo gonna be caught with open wounds. And there's a haste rune on the bat, so I'm still not gonna be able to finish this. He's gonna go grab way too. Yep, there it is. And burning him down for the moment. Lasso used, gonna pull him back. He's got a whole team behind him. And gonna get the kill before he takes off running. Split Earth off the mark. Well timed, but tough to catch a bat with a haste. But,
Yep. That was really good for EG, because if you look in mid, Jo actually got the tower down. So that's a power DK at mid, actually. If you leave him alone for a bit, he'll get the tower really fast with his passive.
Yep, especially now.
And looking at top, he's gonna be fine if he just rage TPs out. No, okay, never mind. Bamboo has an ultimate. I didn't notice that, so that was really big.
So Bambo getting yet another kill there, bringing the Lifestealer down. Demon continues to just be part of the non-environmental faction as he mass deforestation just remains a part of his playstyle. But back to what you were saying, and I am finally going to get this out. Dignitas, when you phrase it the way you did and explained it the way you did, it makes perfect sense, because Dignitas, every time I cast them, if they're in a break-even or a winning situation through the mid-game, then they tend to win and tend to win handily. But when I say play from behind, say at 25, 30 minutes, if they're behind, they seem to just have to turtle up, and that has a lot to do with what you were talking about, Owie. If Owie's banked on to play from behind from the beginning, that way Universe and Sneaking are able to get good starts, and then something goes wrong in that mid-game phase whenever they're looking to open the map up, and as you said, a team adapts to it, adapts the playstyle that works well against it, then all of a sudden a big major part of what they're trying to do gets derailed.
Yeah, and Universe is going to trouble here. Yes, maybe, right? Snaking is going to be here too.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. Possibly.
There's the lasso. Jo engaging as well, and they will be able to clean him up. Clockwork bangs his way out to the front. Owie cleaning up things from behind. There's a mega kill for Sneaking, and we're beginning to see the Clockwork factor. Split Earth actually off the mark, led a bit too much by Fogged. He was caught in the face. There's a nightmare to slow down Owie. And EG withdrawing under their own tier 1 here in mid. They got a whole group here. In the meantime, at top, Bambo's cutting creeps. Working on the tower here. It's down to about 3/4 health. He's being left to his own devices, at least for the moment. Dignitas will go ahead and scatter after chasing EG back. Finally, the TP will arrive, and that's going to be Universe. Should have no problem keeping this up and running.
Yeah, another thing about a really underrated combo is Clockwork Darkseer. The two heroes synergize really well with Ion Shell and then Battery Assault. I think that Chinese team Rising Stars, they actually not Rising Stars, Rattlesnake. Yeah, they love running this lineup. It's always Lanham and then Kabu.
Yep.
And they do like these dual lanes, off lanes where they somehow get a kill. Oh, and small misplay there from Snaking. He should have used the Battery Assault in the cogs there, but it doesn't matter because he's going to be snowball really fast, and it's going to be interesting to see what item making is, because he's going to be controlling the tempo of this game right now, based on his really good start. And he's going to have Bane and Venge are actually two really like kind of weak heroes versus the Clockwork, because their spells, it's hard to cast them against Battery Assault, because Battery Assault just like, it's hard to cast these spells, and Demon might be in trouble here.
Yep. Catching the Battery Assault, he is going to dip over. The hook actually hit the creep. Now he's going to lasso Sneaking, try to pull him back. Vacuum back, though. He's got a lot of heroes burning to death. There's going to be the Fiend's Grip. That cleans one up. Wave 2's there. Here comes Jo. Jo stuns out Wave 2. In the meantime, Universe trying to get away. Uses the Ion Shell. Two very low heroes. Jo still hasn't secured the kill. Has Breathe Fire. Not going to need it. Now he has the Dragon Form as well. Again, not going to need it. Beat is likely to die to Owie and will, but now has to make for safe territory. The tree is doing a decent job of blocking out EG's pursuit. So nice little contribution from Wave 2, and that'll be enough to get him away. Don't know they would have caught him anyway, but certainly not taking the chance. EG opens up a lead, make it 10-8, 12 minutes in, and take a look at the goal graph. About as even as you could ask. Almost dead zero in both categories.
Yeah, and that was quite a good play there from Demon to live through that, and then they were actually fighting so long in the Firefly. And another big nerf actually is the if you look at Bat Raider, the Flame Break mana cost is now 140. And I feel that's really big, actually. That's a big nerf to Bat Raider.
Right.
And oftentimes, you don't see Bat Raiders, at least so far in the games I've seen, it's hard to cast that, especially versus Nyx.
Right.
cast that extra flame break in the fight, and so many times before the patch you saw that. But like in the early laning phase, it's hard to spam the flame break exactly to kill people. Looks like Fog might be in trouble. Demon is invis up there, and he has his last open 6.
He's keeping an eye on things. Halftime
this
on
might
the
be bait though. Oh, he's gonna. Yeah, Demon sees every.
He's gonna Firefly and go ahead and grab Universe. Drags him up to the not friendly secret shop. And let's see if they want to re-engage. There's going to be a hook that connected. Sneaking coming across the chasm. Demon trying to make a run for it. In the meantime, Jo adds another kill. We're going to see Demon continuing to run. Bambo ready to engage. Has Omni Slash if he wants it. Has not spent it yet. And Jo and Fogged. It looks like Demon will be cleaned up by Fogged. Aoi now going toe-to-toe with Jo. Jo going to back off. There's the Omni Slash as Fogged tries to retreat. Going to hook back up. And the Infest from Aoi gets him back to fighting Shape Split Earth. Off the mark. There's one auto attack to get the job done. Dignitas loses 4 again, and they're going to lose 5.
Wow.
As Aoi gets stunned out with the Dragon Tail. EG, who was just going toe-to-toe, now wins 2 big fights in 2 big ways. They lost the bat that time, but they certainly gained themselves a lead. 1,500 gold produced there. It's going to get bigger when they take this Tier 1 top, and the experience even higher, up towards 3,000 in their favor.
That fight was definitely some demon plays right there, catching the Darkseer up there, and then he lived long enough in the fight. He might have died, but he got so many good sticky charges and really good flame breaks off.
Yep.
So these fights, both the top fight and the bottom fight, was basically won because of the Firefly and Demon's stickies in the fight. It looks like Fear might be in trouble if Snaking gets his hook off.
And Sneaking gonna catch the stun. There's a vacuum back. And the healing ward goes down, drops the cogs, gonna bang his way through. Bambo with very little mana and Fear even less, not too willing to pursue out those 2 low health heroes. Taking a look at CS, last hits and denies are okay-ish. 72 for Juggernaut at the top's actually a smidge surprising, but did have a good laning phase. 70 for the Darkseer, 65 on Way Too Sexy. Jo on the DK at 64. We'll be going the Shadowblade build. Been so much fighting, we haven't had a lot of time to talk about items, but always a question, what's going to be your priority? Shadowblade on the DK, very, very popular of late. And Bambo looks to be rushing himself his Scepter. He's got the point booster up already. Demon still looking for a Blink Dagger. Actually has enough for it right now.
Yeah, sorry about that. My Skype is like lagging, but
nope.
Another big notice is to Universe, actually. His mech is really late. Usually you gets the mech around 15 minutes, which is quite good for a 1v1 Darkseer in those positions, but he still needs 900 gold. So I do feel Dignitas is forcing these fights. They should have waited for the mech, because that was one advantage that they would have over EG. Because EG doesn't have a hero that can get the mech early, but right. Dignitas does. And that's one thing Dignitas loves using the Darkseer for. Like, they love waiting for the mech, like I said it before, and they love forcing the fights once Universe gets that mech.
Right.
But this game is kind of going against what they love doing, because they're waiting and fighting without the mech. Looks like Snaking's trying to go for the wraparound, but EG has vision of him.
Demon takes the fight. Yep, Beta is in trouble. Not lucky enough to be able to fly Flame Break, trying to bail his buddies or buy his buddies some time. Demon's still being chased out. He's off the map. What a hook! Trying to catch him off the map. Unfortunately, unable to do so. There's Demon. All right, Demon will be able to TP away. I honestly didn't see, like, I was wondering what would happen. I heard the hook connect. It looked like it brought him to it, just didn't bring him off the map, of course.
Yeah. That's like the 3rd time this flown to some clowny place off the map. He's like playing with them.
How do you feel about that mechanic? Is that something you think needs change? Hold that thought. Engagement on Universe. Mass reactions coming up. Way two's the first to land. There's the Omni Slash, but it's all but wasted as it ends up jumping mostly to Treants. Here comes Fear and the rest of EG. They knocked him out of the cogs. They're all surrounded. Way two going to be the first to drop. Demon's going to use the lasso. Another big fight. EG gonna take 4 for free. And Dignitas came in en masse. And Bambo, that honestly went about as well as it could have, other than the fact they lost the DS before they got there. Bambo got nothing out of the Omni Slash as the Nature's Wrath, or Nature's Call, excuse me, from the Prophet negated the Omni Slash, but EG's movement, they just seem to be one step ahead of Dignitas, man.
Yeah, and that was another misplay there from Dignitas. I don't know why they keep trying to force these fights. And AUI is having a really, really rough game. A Naix that has this bad of a start versus what EG has, the Venge, the Bane, and the Bat Raider. And don't forget the DK and the Jug. Like, all these heroes actually somewhat decent versus an Eggs, because they at least have one spell that can go through the rage, and that's good enough versus an Eggs. So AU is not going to have much of an effect at all. And Way Too Sexy actually had a somewhat decent start, but he has barely anything right now. Like, there's barely any farm on Way Too.
Yep.
And he's just going to be feeding at this rate. They should just... They have the power of split pushing on their lineup, and they should just try and avoid the fights meanwhile. But the problem is EG does have really good heroes to stop the split push. And especially one item on Jeo is going to be really good. The Lothars. And with the Lothars, he can initiate the fight so easily with the stun.
Yep. And as you mentioned, I mean, at this point, Bambo's almost got a scepter. He's got the point booster already. Yeah, he's like 800 gold out from having his scepter up. He's in remarkably good shape compared to where most Juggernauts end up, especially Juggernauts that wind up in an offensive tri-lane. They tend to suffer a bit as the tri-lane begins to break down. Aoi just now completing his drum, so that's how far behind he is. That mech is still not up on Sahil, by the way. Universe still looking for another 170 gold to get that mechanism up. And Bambo just continuing to clean up there. I mean, right now, like you said, Dignitas does have great split push. When I look at EG's lineup, though, EG is sufficiently far ahead that, you know, if they see split push, just go take a, you know, not just react, but go take a fight. They have so many ways, as you had mentioned, to initiate these fights. It really just doesn't matter. I mean, even Bambo, just because of how the hero works, Bambo can just YOLO in, use Omni Slash and Blade Fury to start a fight if he has to wait on his teammates.
Yeah, but Bambo actually has a really big item on the Juggernaut. This is probably one of the best items on Jug. It just makes you endlessly use Omni Slash in the fight. He has the Aghanims, I think it's linked to him right now in the chicken. As well as this, it gives him so many good stats, which Juggernaut needs. So he's going to be quite tanky, and it's going to be really hard for Dignitas to kill him, because they don't have a hero that can potentially kill the Juggernaut, like a Bane or Bat, or something that can stun him off, unless Fog gets the really good stun off with the Split Earth. And even then, it's going to be hard. So as soon as they go in Bambo, in like right now, EG wants to try and force fights in like these open engages, or they just want to siege a tower, because they have the healing ward and they have the DK OT. So
right now, the tier 2 mid would seem to be the obvious one. There's going to come a point soon if they're managed to bring down the tier 2 mid where they can just choke out Dignitas, just take their jungle away, take mid-map control, take Roshan's. And that would seem to be, I mean, we're just 20 minutes in. There's just been so much fighting. 39 kills in 29 minutes is quite a busy game, even by Western standards. And, you know, right now, Dignitas is taking your advice. I believe they've had enough of forcing fights. They just want to get some items up. Force Staff going to be the choice for sneaking. He's got 2/3 of it done. Poor Aoi just has really been a non-factor. And, you know, looking at, you know, this Dragon Knight really, to me, is the big liability. I mean, obviously, he's the carry, but he's already got 1,700 gold towards his BKB. Can grab an Overclub right off the bat if he wants. I mean, the magic damage from Dignitas is pretty decent-ish, but he's already at 20 armor because of Dragonblind. So he's not going to be feeling scared at all of the physical damage Dignitas has. And speaking of forcing a fight, EG goes en masse, ready to punish Dignitas for playing this far forward. The Sentry's going to go down, and Dignitas is going to back. We'll see just how dedicated they are to actually backing. Jeo, under cover of the Shadow Blade, pursuing them out quite fast. He's going to go ahead and loop around and going to focus on sneaking. Here comes the counter initiation. Flame Break knocks him back. Force Staff brings him forward. Mech going to be used. There's Leshrac left behind briefly. Eats a bit of damage. There's the vacuum into the wall. Aoi going to be caught with the Fiend's Grip. Fiend's Grip not going to be interrupted. In the meantime, the unending Omni Slash goes off. Lasso on Aoi takes him out of the fight immediately. Bambo still up and running, uses the Blade Fury. Sneaking, locks himself in his own cogs, and he'll be pursued down and killed off because of it. Just saw the swap. Very well done on the Universe. Fog might actually secure the kill, and that was Sneaking that did it. A lot of low health heroes, one stun from Venge. And the Dragon Breath enough, and Lesh gonna die to the Flame Break as well. Another big fight, another 4-for-1. Wow. EG just absolutely steamrolling, and they might get a tier 3 here.
Fear is playing really well. He's actually quite farmed on the... He has a mech and an urn, and he has 1k gold with the boots and the belt. And he's really tanky. Look at the Venge HP. Before this might have been... With these items, he might have had like maybe 1,100 or so, but he's close to 1,400, and it's partly due to the strength buff on the hero. So, and with the aura, with this aura, they take the towers down quite fast, but I don't think they can take Iraqs yet. And Snaking fell off quite a bit. He had such a good start, but he's kind of on this limbo so far, and he's stagnated.
He's going to hook in. Nice swap from Fear. Bailing Jo out. He's actually nightmared to buy a little bit more time. Yeah, Wei2 is going to continue to pursue this out, though. There's the Sprout. Rocket Flare doing some damage. Shadow Blade, do they have detection? They got to have detection somewhere. Tell me you have detection, guys. No, they don't. Jo is going to be able to find his way into the trees.
He has no TP, though. Fogged is going to find him. Oh my god.
Juking it out in the vision. And as you said, no TP. Beat is hiding as well. He does have a TP. He'll be able to get away. The Treants almost spotted him. And Jo gonna have to hoof it home. Gonna try to catch a ride. But, yeah. Jo, let's see. The Shadow Blade almost again spotted by the Lesh. And they saw him run past because he ran right past Sentry. But he's going to make it back to safety. Jo needs to give this guy right here, Mr. Fear, a high five. Fear gave himself for the greater cause.
Yep. And Demon has his 4-staff up, and he might be going for the bots. He doesn't... BKB is still a good option, but knowing him, he's just probably going to go for the bots to split push the lanes out.
Yep.
Yeah, and he goes for the bots. They don't really have like a Nyx or something for him to go BKB versus. I mean, they do have good magic damage, but he can easily just blink in and force someone out. And that's a problem actually with Dignitas' lineup, I feel. They don't have a significant counter to the Bat Raider.
Yep.
And I feel when you draft right now in Dota, when you give the other team Bat Raider, you need like a good counter versus them. You need like a Nyx or an SD.
Yep.
Or even like I said earlier, a Vengeful Spirit is a decent counter initiate to Bat Raider.
I'll tell you who just shuts a bat down. It's the first time I'd ever seen it used in a professional game. It's like one of those things where you know it in theory, but until I saw a pro team use it, Mal's used Disruptor and just took bat completely out of the game. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
Disruptor's a good counter. Another counter is actually Spirit Breaker.
Yep.
Whenever you want something to counter something, you have to pick Spirit Breaker.
And Demon, 4 staffs, grabs Owie. And there's the Omni Slash. So many bounces. That is such an effective way. What a swap. Fear is playing unconscious. There's the hook in, just trying to buy time for Staff. Oh, he almost ended up back out. Universe will end up dead. Bambo vacuumed it up to the high ground. Does not have anything to get him out of trouble. Fear doing what he can. Mech gets him at least back up a bit. Nice split earth catches too. Fogged in trouble as he's stunned out. Breathe Fire doing good. Damage cogs go down again. Owie gonna be caught with another excellent Fiend's Grip. Beatiz has been money in the bank with those Fiend's Grips. Properly positioned, waiting and biding his time, only using it when necessary. That's going to be a full 5 wipe. There's a buyback from the Furion, but Wei2 with nothing but some dust and a Shadow Blade. Not exactly the most threatening Furion at 25 minutes into the game. This might be at least one set of racks. We're still so early that the respawn times are low, but they're going to be able to melt this down pretty effectively with Jo. There goes the tier 3. This will be one set of racks. They might even rotate and try to take at least the other melee racks, depending on how much they want to risk it.
Yeah, with a Juggernaut, as soon as you win a fight near the base,
yeah.
With other heroes, you're maybe like half HP or something, but with the Healing Ward, you can just heal back up to full, and you can just keep sieging. And I feel they can take this other racks pretty easily.
Yep.
I don't think Dignitas can fight them. But Snicky needs to go in. He needs to force a fight right now, and he's going to go in.
He went a little bit late. Jo actually going to be out. Nice swap. It wasn't even necessary. They're going to be able to lasso Owie again. He's going to be drugged out of the base and vacuum back on Demon. Demon now going to hustle to the south, looking for safety. The entire Dignitas squad running through his fire. Leshrak with the open wounds will get the kill, but there's the Omni Slash. 12 jumps. He's still going. Owie forced to back out. Wei2 eating the Blade Fury. Now the counter initiation. Universe being pursued. Right clicks will bring him down. Demon threw out the flame break. Owie eating level 16 dragon form. That's a fresh 16. Jo did not have that 2 minutes ago. And Fog's still up and going. That's 3 down. Buyback from Beatiz. Don't know that it matters. And the GG comes out. 49 kills in a 26-minute game. Gotta love when this happens. And certainly gotta love when we have you here for that. Dignitas, and and again, it kind of plays into what I was talking about. Like, and I love the insights you gave, because I really do think it really explains a lot. Because I've been saying the same thing for a long time about Dignitas and their play style. That there's a definite window during which, if they don't execute, if they don't get ahead, they tend to really struggle and have a hard time playing to the late stages of the mid game and on through to the late game. And the way you broke it down, which is they just sacrificed so much on Owie in order to allow Universe and Fogged, or Sneaking rather, to have a good start. EG just abused it, used it and abused it, and hung a 27-minute win on him, man.
Yeah, I feel this game was actually Dignitas' flavor mainly because of how snaking was doing, and they should have waited obviously for the mech, and they had really bad fights. I think there was one fight on Radiant's jungle where they fought in Batrider's Firefly for considerably long, and then there was another fight top where they did exactly the same thing. They fought near the secret shop, and both these fights basically lost them the game. I felt. Before that, I think they had a good chance of doing well because Jo had a really bad start. He died solo twice mid.
Yep.
I think one time actually it wasn't solo, but he died twice mid. And Snaking had really early drums and then Urn. And I think also the Force Staff he had quite early, but then he didn't get anything at all. So.
EG and Dignitas, give us a thriller, man. A very active game to say the least. 49 kills and 27 minutes. Want to thank you guys for joining us. I'm Aaron AC Chambers, joined for the commentary by Liquid's own Bulba, who broke down the clock a little bit for us. I could sit and listen to you talk about clock forever, man. Like I've been preaching the gospel of Bulba on clock for a long time. And yeah, I hope we get to see him again just so you can tell us more. But before we jump out to the break here, we are going to have, actually not that long because the game started late. But before we jump out to the break, why don't you go ahead and tell folks where they can find you online. They can find out more about you and catch up with you on stream.
Well, thanks for joining me, AC. But you can follow me at Liquid Boba, and you can support my sponsors on Team Liquid, which are Razer, Twitch, Shiny Things, and Barracuda.
There you go.
Yep. That's it.
And the Twitter address, where do you stream?
Oh yeah, Liquid Boba, and then I don't stream much now because I don't have much time. But if I do stream, it's on Twitch /Liquid Boba, I think.
There you go. Make sure you follow the man. He's a lot of fun. One of my favorite folks in the whole scene. He and I go way back. It's amazing he even puts up with me. Once again, our second game of the day goes in favor of Evil Geniuses. Dignitas comes out of today, finishing 1-1. EG going to be taking on Denial Esports for our final best of one of the day. Stick with us, guys. We'll be right back.